By my watch, it's 10 o'clock.
Nice to meet you.
I think we've got everybody here with us is going to be here today. We have Commissioner McLean is online, so I think we got a quorum. So I'll call the State Board of Finance to order. First thing we have on the agenda is adoption of the minutes for the October 25th, 2023 meeting and the called meeting on December 12th, 2023. Is there a motion? Motion. Second. Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes. Assuming there was no changes, and asked about that, but assuming everybody's good with that. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is the Treasury Report, presentation of Treasury investments. With that, I'll recognize Treasurer Larry Walther.
Thank you, Chairman Hudson and members of the board. I want to welcome Mark Emmerich to his first board meeting. Welcome. Good to see you. First thing I'd like to say is when the Treasury approaches the investment of money, we obviously have safety as first thing that we have in our mind. Liquidity is second, and the return on investment is the third. So safety of our money is the primary focus of the Treasury, as it's been for a long time. Our investment team follows the board's policy guidelines for the management of the portfolio also. Second quarter, the end of the second quarter of 2024, it concluded at the end of December. Investment team has navigated a pretty difficult and volatile time with interest rates, which continues on. Appears that we will be seeing lower interest rates as we move forward into 2024. Today, our portfolio is over $11 billion, and I'm pleased to announce that we had an excellent earnings of $93 million for the second quarter. And at this time, I'd like to turn over the meeting to Stephen Kilgore, Director of Investment Accounting.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Treasurer, and others. I'm Stephen Kilgore, Director of Investment Accounting at the Treasurer's Office. Before you are slides prepared by Holly Weaver and myself and the investment team that outline our recent trends and the position of the portfolio. So the first few slides, 2 and 3, go over some of the details of investment income, short-term revenue. There are 2 long-term revenue divided by category, 3, and then in slide 4, we have an outline of the portfolio, with the largest section being mortgage-backed securities in blue. These allocations are pretty similar from quarter to quarter. There was a slight uptick in Israel bonds as we purchased a little bit more than we're ensuring that in this last quarter. Then in slide 5, we have details of investment income. Slide 5 shows financial results and rates of return over the last few fiscal years on an accrual basis. The portfolio's book yield increased, but remaining below 1% throughout fiscal years 2021, 2022. The increase was 2.74% for the fiscal year ending June 2023. Book return on investments continued to grow, increasing from 3.279% for the first quarter of the new fiscal year to 3.436% for the second quarter. Portfolio net income in accrual accounting terms increased from $90.5 million for the first quarter to approaching $96 million for the most recent quarter. At the midpoint of the fiscal year, investment net income totals $186.43 million. This represents $162.22 million in coupon income, $24.8 million in bond accretion over amortization, and $0.6 million in realized capital loss. Book return is 3.357% at the midpoint of the fiscal year on an annualized basis, while total return was 2.918%, which is not annualized, but includes unrealized gains or losses in market value. Book return at 3.357% annualized was within the target rate that had been established. Going to the next slide, 6 shows in shades of green the yield trend on U.S. Treasury bonds of various maturities, with those yields representing how potential gains from investment opportunities have risen over the past few years. And in blue is shown the yield trend on the Arkansas Treasury general portfolio, which has followed the trend in overall market yields as investments have matured and new investments have been purchased. And so our results have followed the market pretty well. Next slide shows our distribution by duration along the term the bonds are and the credit rating, which is our high quality ratings. Next, we will have comments by Senior Investment Managers Steve Pulley and Robert Romanek on where the portfolio stands and how it may proceed going forward.
Mr. Chairman, Board, welcome, Member Aaron. Just give you a quick overview of the portfolio itself. Treasurer Walther alluded to the interest rate volatility. We saw it drop 100 or more basis points in a matter of 5 weeks. So we're still dealing with that in the marketplace. However, Stephen mentioned we had a 343, a little better than 343 for the quarter, which is about 335 for the first half of the year, which isn't bad. When he goes back, he's looking back at those when we've gotten less than 1%. So we're very thankful for that. The team's increased our operational liquidity. As Treasurer Walther mentioned, that's very, very important. And our short-term portion of the portfolio still yields us well above 5.25%. And that really helps our returns, having that portion to get the kind of returns they have. Celeste Gladden, who runs our money management trust fund for the various agencies, she's returned in that fund almost at 5.40. So that's for those agencies that participate, that's a really, really nice return for the quarter. The size of the portfolio at the end of the quarter was just shy of $11.5 billion. The largest portion of that is $9 billion, which is the long-term portfolio. So think of that as our anchor. And so wanted to give you a quick overview of the portfolio itself. So now that the portfolio is built, if you'll look in your slides on number 8, there's the next slide up. It's called portfolio positioning. You got to ask yourself, how is this portfolio going to perform in different interest rate environments? So we're in a neutral bias for interest rates. However, if rates move down, the portfolio should perform well. And what I mean by that is you got to think about it. If interest rates go down, that's because the economy's not doing as great. So if the economy's not doing as great, therefore we're probably not going to see as many revenues coming in through our taxation. So we're getting that off our portfolio to meet any kind of contingent liability that may come up. Right here, we're positioned a very moderate duration of just shy of 5, neutral. The portfolio performance rates go down. The next slide. There you go. So this is what does cash flow look like over the next 5 years? If rates remain the same, we're going to get anywhere from 7 to 10% of our principal back on an annual basis. So we're getting almost 50% back return over that time period. So this is to give us protection in case tax revenues don't come in. We've got money coming off the portfolio, not just in income, but as well as the principal as well. So we're really feel like the portfolio's positioned well, and we can take those monies that come off either for reinvestment or for liquidity, and it kind of highlights the balanced nature of the portfolio. We're not here to follow interest rates, but we do want to protect our money and make sure that we can get a reasonable return on it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robert. Let him give you kind of a rundown of the comment.
Thank you, Stephen. Good morning, Chairman Hudson, Treasurer Walther, members of the board. With your consent, I will be setting the new target rate of book return value for the third quarter of fiscal year 24. Since our last meeting in October, the Federal Reserve has made a decided change of course on their outlook for the economy and monetary policy. The December 13th FOMC meeting marked the 4th consecutive pause in the hiking cycle, leading to the open disclosure that the next natural question to discuss is when it will be appropriate to cut short-term interest rates. The Fed's forward projection on interest rates, known as the dot plot, reflected a 50 basis point lower outcome than the prior estimate, representing approximately a 100 basis points in cuts for the year. This adjustment was predictably met with an aggressive market move lower in interest rates. Interest rate futures predict 6 quarter-point rate cuts for 2024, or approximately 150 basis points in cuts for the year. The next FOMC meeting will be held tomorrow, January 31st. The probability for a cut is decidedly off the table, given recent economic data showing the U.S. still operating at above consensus growth levels. The subsequent meeting will be held March 20th. The current probability of a rate cut at that meeting, based on futures forecast, is a coin flip or 50%. Inflation expectations in both headline and core data releases have declined significantly over the past 3 months. However, GDP at 3.3% easily surpassed the 2% quarterly forecast. Combined with a near historic low unemployment rate and solid monthly new job creation, this likely reinforces the Federal Reserve's cautionary approach to reducing short-term borrowing rates, which currently sit at a target range of 5.25% to 5.5%. And therefore should extend the window of elevated interest rates through the remainder of the first quarter. However, as mentioned above, we are positioning for interest rates to move lower over the medium term. We therefore are proposing to modestly increase the target rate of book return value for the January through March period from a range of 3.25 to 3.35% to a new range of 3.3 to 3.4%. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's my recommendation. I need a motion to set the target rate of book return for the January through March quarterly period from a range of 3.25% to 3.35% to the new range of 3.3% to 3.4%. Do I hear a motion on that?
Motion.
Motion made by Alderman Milligan. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Fiskin. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Any other matters, Secretary?
No, sir.
To present? Okay. Here, a motion to approve the treasury report as submitted.
Motion.
Motion. Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the quarterly motions for the fourth quarter of FY 2024, April 1st, 2024 through June 30, 2024. These motions were included in the documents that you received by email. As chairman of the State Board of Finance, I make a motion to the board that no funds are available for deposit into the State Board of Finance Certificate of Deposit Program. Need a second for my motion.
Second.
Second by Treasurer Walther. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. As chairman of the State Board of Finance, I make a motion that the board direct the treasurer of state to purchase warrants for the succeeding quarter, April 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024, pursuant to Act 1088 of 2013, and to keep reasonable amounts of demand deposit accounts and money markets during the next quarter of the transaction day-to-day activities. Need a second to my motion.
Second.
Second by Treasurer Walther. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes have it. The next item is a presentation discussion of the approval of the Arkansas State Treasurer Investment Policy. And for this, I'll be recognizing David Scott, legal counsel, to take Treasurer in the presentation.
Mr. Chairman, Treasurer Walker, members of the board. Let me start by quoting from the investment policy on page 6. This is part out of part 1, paragraph G. State Board of Finance shall serve as the investment policy committee and shall review and approve revisions to this policy. The State Board of Finance shall review this policy as often as necessary and no less than annually. Mr. Chairman, there are no proposed revisions to this policy at this time. Therefore, a motion to approve would be in order.
Any question, motion, have that before you act on the motion, any questions about the investment policy? No changes, so we're keeping it as is. So I have a motion from Alderman Milligan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Treasurer Walther. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Investment policy is adopted with no changes. So next is a presentation from Grant Wallace, Director of EBD on EBD matters. Director Wallace.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board. We will start with the formulary recommendations. There are two parts of this, but this will only cover for the month of January. So give me 1 second. I will get the main one pulled up. So starting with the longer list, the Excel spreadsheet that you see before you. This is the normal review for the month of December that would go into effect that we review in January. You'll see here in the column E, there's the recommendation. And you'll see in column D what the current setup is. The changes that really are kind of coming to this for this month revolve around either quantity limits or prior authorization requirements that we're adding on. And then there are some specialty drugs that are currently not covered that we are moving to cover. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
I have one. So this loan that's down here looks like the only drug that's actually affecting anybody of any major party, 423 members.
Mhm.
So the only thing you're doing to change that is just sitting in a prior authority, right?
Right, we are just adding a prior authorization on that one, and that is for anybody that comes on, that is a new prescription. The 423 that are listed under impact, we're grandfathering in on their current prior authorization and utilization. Prior authorization that we're adding is just that they take Trulance or try Trulance before they do Lincest, and that really does come with some of the rebate contracting and contracting items that Navitas has.
Gotcha.
That same question.
I was ready for that one.
Any other questions?
We need a motion. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Treasurer Walther to approve, second by Ms. Fiskey. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Aye. Motion passes.
The next item would be the medical drug recommendations. This would be a Word document.
Should be in your packet.
It should be in your packet. It's titled Medical Drug Recommendations 1.924.
One thing I have is voluntary.
Okay.
Product that I can see.
So it would look like
Yeah.
this.
I'm attaching it right now.
There you go. Okay, got
You
it.
got it.
All right.
This is a little new for us, Grant. If you could make sure you give us the background
All right.
on how we're considering the rule.
Yes, I will. Give me I'm gonna email this to Autumn as well. Just need 1 second, please.
It was small.
Okay, Autumn, you should have it here in just a second. So while that's coming up, just a little bit of background on what is going on here. Navitas covers, their formulary covers our prescriptions as if you were going to Kroger's, Walgreens, CVS, those normal medications. Health Advantage covers medically administered medications. So ones that you would have to go to a doctor's office or occur within a healthcare facility. Your chemotherapies, your more expensive and more expensive treatments, those are covered under your medical benefits, and that's what this list will cover. On these, we are attempting, because this is new with the relationship that we have with Navitas, we're attempting to get a more regular schedule with how we review these. So we will either, you all will either see it every quarter or you will see it every 6 months, so every other meeting. But again, these are drugs that do occur in a medical facility setting. So you'll see the list here. A lot of them are for cancer-related diagnoses. At this point, all but one are being excluded. And the rationale behind that is it really forces a conversation between Health Advantage and EBD. So that when something comes up that this treatment is prescribed, the conversation comes to us to make the final decision so that there's not, I don't know, I'm lacking words here, but I don't want to say a blank check, but just kind of a blank authorization on multi-million-dollar drugs. You'll see the last one, Botox, as we continue to learn about the beauties of Botox. There are new and effective kind of treatment options with that one. So this is being added or proposed to be added for covering urinary incontinence. With that, I'd be glad to answer any other questions.
So just to be clear, we're not talking about the rule at this point. We're talking about the list that's currently on the screen.
Correct.
I'm not sure, that was not in my packet.
Okay, I apologize for that. I just missed that one, so I do apologize.
Can we just make that just a little bit bigger since we're looking at the screen for my tired eyes? Other direction. There you go.
Your other right.
Better?
Perfect.
Thank you. Let's just take a second, you look at that.
What's it mean exclude there?
Just that we would not cover it.
You're not covering it. It's going to be covered somewhere else.
No, this would not be covered at all. They can appeal. A provider could appeal that. And again, that forces that conversation, which goes back to the rationale of excluding it.
Is it currently covered?
No.
So I guess I got a question. Are we, I mean, the person that's saying this isn't covered, like the Velocity that's $250,000. I mean, are we using this to say it's an experimental drug? Or are we just saying it costs too much and putting a value on human life? Or what are we saying?
No, these are new or newer to market drugs. So there is already an existing treatment option available. This is just a new or newer version of them as they develop new drugs. That's what this list is.
We're not saying whether it's a better drug or not. We're just saying.
Correct.
think
We don't
there's
have enough
value to it.
We don't have enough information or enough clinical data to prove the efficacy of it at this point.
So if the efficacy, I'm sorry, Keith, you done with your question?
Yeah.
So the efficacy of the existing drug is not effective for the patient. They would have the right of appeal.
Correct.
Okay.
Or if they have tried it and it's not working as effective as what the provider and the patient would want, they can appeal to get this, which again, the rationale is that is what we want to happen.
Right.
We want the conversation around these particular drugs before they're just prescribed first round.
When they appeal and you decide that they're correct, does it come back to the board?
It would come back if there was enough critical mass, getting that appeal reversed, so that we would come back and say, hey, there is enough data at this point. We do want to go ahead and add it on and stop that appeal process.
So some of these determinations can be fluid with new scientific evidence.
Correct. This, and thank you for asking that question. everything around the formulary is fluid. We are constantly evaluating both sides of it. And we'll constantly bring, that's why we bring things to you all every meeting, is because we're always looking at this and honing it for the best on all sides.
Is there, to be anticipating some sort of reporting, and obviously for different reasons, we won't see the details, but giving us a periodic report or indication as to how many deals have been approved, just so we can kind of monitor whether or not,
We can definitely do that, yes.
probably not something to do every quarter, but maybe like it's on an annual basis, given that we're just now approving this.
Okay.
So I don't understand, I think I've seen a lot of these in the past that they advertise on TV and everywhere else. So this drug company would have to, in order to get clinical proof, they've got to get it out there, right? So they've got to drop that 558,000 to a reasonable number so they can build the data to convince you guys that it's working better than the previous drug, correct?
I think in theory that works, yes.
Okay.
I'm learning more about the pharmaceutical industry than I ever thought imaginable, so.
Good questions. Other questions? Okay, so let's scroll back up to the very top. What are we calling this actual list?
The medical drug formulary recommendations.
So the question before the board is whether or not to approve the medical drug formulary recommendations from the EBD. And is there a motion to that effect? Motion by Secretary Fiske to approve the recommendations, or second?
I'll second.
Second by Treasurer Walther. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those no. Ayes have it. The formulary is approved. Now we'll go to the rule.
So the next item on the agenda is a proposed rule for the oversight of the voluntary products. These, and I want to be very, very clear on this, we are only looking at voluntary products offered to state employees. This does not impact anything that public schools do. This is only for state employees, and it's in response to Act 533 of 2023. With that, kind of a quick overview, and we worked with Arceva on these, and it really is just trying to accomplish the goals of how these products should be procured, building out some procurement process that does not currently exist for these products, and then some operational items as well, how we are going to continue to operate with Arceva in the management and day-to-day operations of the offering of the voluntary products. Voluntary products, those are your dental, vision, cancer policies, the extra life, health, accidental policies. These do not touch your core health advantage or the colonial life that's offered through the state. These are the things that are added on top of that benefit. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Strictly health and welfare, no capital accumulation, salary deferral plans. It's strictly on the health side of things, correct? And life insurance.
Correct.
Has the state provided access to this in the past?
Right. These currently are offered. These are the things that Arceva goes around every year and offers to each of the state employees.
But I know, but has the state, has EBD offered them in the past? Or has this always been under?
This has always been outside of EBD. EBD has always had kind of arm's reach oversight. This just formalizes, the Act 533 formalizes that oversight.
What we have done in the, okay, all right, good. And it provides some guidelines or some reporting back to the EBD. Okay, good.
Particularly in terms of how they do procurement.
Correct.
New policies and new benefits.
Correct.
Is the rule will be promulgated by TSS?
Yes.
Okay. Do you need our approval?
Yes.
So it's not FYI, this actual approval.
This is an approval item.
I have another question. Does this cover the Department of Corrections employees too?
Yeah, all eligible state employees.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And If the board approves, next step would be to begin the promulgation process.
The next step would be public comment, and then we can wrap everything up to take over to the legislature. The governor's office has already reviewed these. So we needed to get advisory commission, state board of finance, then public comment. Obviously, if there's substantive changes that occur, we'll start the process all over again and go to the governor's office, the commission, state board of finance.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the proposed rule? Secretary Fiskin moves to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Treasurer Walther. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The rule is approved. I believe that concludes our business day. Anybody have anything else? Thank you for your time. Our next meeting will be on April 22nd, 2024. So if you please note that on your calendar, I appreciate it. With that, we stand adjourned. Thank y'all.